of my house. Had it there.
Hey, everybody. Alex Bailey here with
We're
John
live.
Fuller. Hey, John. It's time for Real Estate
How you doing,
101.
man?
Good. I'm good, man. It's time to get back at it again. We seem to have all these little things going on with our schedules that make it hard to make it pop right on time, but that's the beauty of the internet. You can come back and watch it whenever you want to and rewind it and
Whenever you
watch
watch
it
it,
again
yeah,
if you want to. That's right.
Yeah. And we got some good
So,
information today, so they're gonna have to rewind it today. So we're gonna give us some good information.
The fun thing about real estate is it's always a moving target and things change, and some things have changed since the last time you and I have got together on the phone. It was a trend that had started, but it's gaining momentum. It's actually becoming a bigger issue now for home buyers and home sellers alike. So they're both in the same boat, and that's pricing, and especially pricing as it relates to building materials and the labor it takes to get your materials put into a final product in your house. John, what do you see going on in the market right now when it comes to materials and labor?
And I want to tackle the materials and labor real quick, but I want to just say something that you said was really important. When you're in real estate and you buying houses, you're doing things change. It changed in a minute. I mean, it changes. Like, so, you know, I had several people that's in the process of buying, and they get frustrated because the things are changing with the bank, things are changing with the loan, things are changing with the appraisal, things are changing with the house. So I just want to touch on that real quick. But, you know, tell people, hey, man, be patient out there when you get in your house. You're going to buy it. It's going to happen. But you just got to accept the change. They used to tell us that at work all the time, be accepted to change. You got to accept the change. So now we go into the pricing of the housing. Man, it's crazy out there. 2x4s are $6 and some a board, right? I mean, it used to be like
what were
$2
they
and
in the
$3.
spring? Yeah, in the spring they were like $2 or
They're about
$3.
$2. They're about $2. Usually can get 2x4s around $2.75, $3.36. But right now they $6, $6.59 in that neighborhood. Plywood that goes on top of the board, like our OSB 716, it used to be like $9 a sheet. Right now, $25 a sheet to go on top of the house.
So more than 100%, more than 100% increase in 4 or 5 months.
Right. Which make when you go on to bid your house down, Alex, you got to get that house on down now. Because if you don't get that house bid down, you're gonna end up losing at the back end because you put so much money into material and your labor.
So you're talking like if you're an investor and you're trying to buy a house that needs a lot of work and then make it profitable, you got to take that into account. And have those people who are selling those houses that need a lot of work, have they caught up to the fact that with the housing market is booming, why should I take less? It doesn't sound like that's counterintuitive, but it's true because listen, if I'm going to get your house right, if it's I use the $100,000 rule because it's easy math, but if I need to buy your house you want to sell your house for 50 because you think I'm going to put 20 into it for a grand total of 70 so I can sell it for 100. What you're saying is now that $20,000 job is now a $40,000 job. Therefore, I can't give you 50. I'm going to have to give you 30. And then their mind gets blown and they don't understand it. But housing is great. Yeah, it is great. Yeah. But because of that, now there's a shortage of all the things you need to build.
Right. That's right.
And some people want to go into a house and think it's a fixer-upper for them to live in, and they've budgeted $25,000 for some light remodeling. And by the way, $25,000 is light remodeling. It even was back in the spring. But now $25,000 doesn't even get you halfway through the job. And I don't know about you, but people don't need half bridges. You know, they're useless.
Well, what you just said was very important because not only for the investors, it's the problem, but for people retailing who want to retail their house and they buy their house at a retail price, then they got to go out there and want to put some, fix the house up a little bit, add their own flavor to it. It's costing them more now to do that than it did in the spring. because the prices of the wood and everything went up to add that room, to paint that room, to put that floor in. Everything has went up. So now when you say, "Oh, I got to put 5,000 in," you might end up putting 15,000 in to a house. So it's very important when you negotiate on the retail market, and this is your house you're going to live in, get that down too. Negotiate that price down.
Well,
if you're going to do some work to it.
That's the double-edged sword of low interest rates. Low interest rates are great in giving you a lower payment, but they are introduced in the market through government forces, the Federal Reserve, and so on, to get the market spurred, to get it like, let's get some people buying some things. And when you're not ready for that as a supplier of the materials, then you're going to jack up your prices because you can't find the people to come to work and you can't get the materials quickly. That's a problem. And one of the bigger problems that people don't see, because all we want to talk about in the news is COVID, is we have tremendous shipping constraints across the country. The Port of Los Angeles is jammed up with ships at sea that can't come into dock because they can't unload the boats fast enough coming in from the Pacific. You can't find trucks. There's no truckers. They all got work and they're working all they can and they're ordering up trucks. There was a crash in the Class 8 trucking market in the spring, and now they can't crank out big trucks fast enough to deliver the wood, the vinyl, the appliances, and things like that you need for a house.
Right.
So what do you do as a buyer, a seller in this environment?
As a buyer, I look at this both ways. As a buyer and a seller, you got to do your research. I mean, you got to get smart on this thing. I mean, whether you're buying to flip it or you're buying to stay in it, you have to be smart when you make that purchase. Like I always say, you make your money when you buy, not when you sell. So even if you're buying this house to live into it, you still have to make sure that you buy it at the right price. And I tell a lot of people, hey, still negotiate that price down. I mean, don't go into that price. Take your time with buying your house. I mean, don't go into the house and get excited about something that's gonna cost you more money, and you're gonna be upside down in the house with the appraisal after your appraisal, because all that money you put into the house might not affect your value, of the house. Go ahead, get on that one. You can touch on that. I'll let you say.
You said it so fast, but it was so important. I want to go back to it. Don't get all excited.
Yes.
And I find sometimes when it comes to home buying, people get in love with the features of the house, the neighborhood. Oh, it's so great, the school district, and those things are important, but it's a brick and mortar or vinyl or whatever thing for you to live in. It is not a person. It is not something you emotionally attach on. People that get emotional about their real estate or I'm already so far along in the process, or I've been doing this so long, I'm tired. Therefore, they're impatient. Yes. I'm tired of looking, tired of shopping, tired of negotiating, tired of the deals keep falling through. And then they get go fever. And go fever is when I'm tired, so I'm going to just turn off all the checks and balances just to speed this process up and get it done. 6 months later, you are totally regretting that you did that.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes, because you end up putting more money into that property than you thought you were going to put into that property.
And you didn't get what you wanted.
And I'm hurting you. Yeah. And I tell people this right here when they come, and I can't say it as be patient. Be patient. You're gonna find it. You're good at that. I mean, you'll look at a deal up and down, and you'll be like, nah, John, I'm not gonna mess with that deal, because you forecast it out to where it's gonna be down the road. You'll be looking at it like, well, the market is going this way, so I can't buy this house right here, which is real good. So be patient.
That comes from living the pain of a bad real estate purchase here and there. You do that one or two times, and you never want that feeling again. You never want to be stuck with something you overpaid for, because there's nothing you can do to fix it. There's really no way. You're just like, how much am I going to lose? Is the question. Not how do I make any money? And it happens if you're a real estate investor. You do it long enough, you will get burned. You don't want to be too shy in never doing a deal because you overanalyze them, but you don't want, like Warren Buffett says, the first rule of investing is don't lose money. Because you have to come up so much higher with each new investment just to get back to where you were. You know, if you buy a stock at 100, it goes to 50, you made a 50% return. If you buy a stock at 100 and it goes down to 50, you've lost 50%. And to get back up to that 150, you have to triple your money. And it doesn't seem like, how does that math work? But it's the way it works. When you lose ground, it's so hard to get back. So negotiate, like you said.
Negotiate. We got a couple of deals now that's and I put this out there. We got a 4-house deal down in the area, lower part of South Carolina, and we negotiated with the guy, and we got him down to probably right around 38,000 on all 4 houses. And some people would say that on the scrim just right out the gate, 4 houses, 38,000. Oh, that's good. But when you look at the deal, we need to be right around 20,000, Alex, to make that deal work. So now I'm dealing with a customer that's saying, "Hey, man, 20,000 is for 4 houses. You got me down to 5. You got me less than $5,000, right around $5,000 a house." Well, that's what I got to do to make the deal work. I mean, because for me as an investor coming in, I can't put that money back in there like that.
Right, because now you're paying twice as much for your 2x4s. You're paying twice as much for your. Yes. Actually, the number you said was like more than twice as much for the OSB. So any remodeling project you get into, just figured you had to double it, because when it used to be, you told me, I don't know, a year or two ago, when you're building the house, what percentage of it's material and what percentage is labor. And I believe at the time you said it's 2-to-1 labor to material. But now it's like
at that time.
But that was at that time. And this is back to our point. Everything keeps moving. And one day it could be like that again. It could be like that way next spring or something. But we don't know.
And that's the most important thing about what you just said, Alex. If you stay in the game long enough, it's going to go up and down, and you're going to be able to catch that down where you can buy that house at that price. Like the guy told the guy, I said, if you could sell this house for these 4 houses for 38,000, then go ahead. You might catch a new investor who don't know the game, and they'll buy them houses for you for 38,000. That's benefiting you, and that's a good deal. But for me, being in the game, I can't give you no more than $20,000 for the house. No. Maybe 22, 23, because it's going to hurt me down the road just where the price is at right now. So, you just got to stay in the game. And I tell people, if you're in this for one game, for one house, then you're not really an investor. You got to be in this thing for the long haul, and you got to catch the wave up and down when it go up and down.
Too much of a learning curve to do it one time. You learn so much, you want to use that information again. But that is true, and it won't last forever. And maybe on a deal like you're talking about, John, you could say to the guy, listen, why don't we go in, I'm going to give you your 5 now, but I need to make, per house, I need to make X amount per house to make it worth my while too. And whatever comes in over and above that, then maybe we could split that, or I can give you, 2-to-1 on it, because I just need to make what I'm going to make, and prove me wrong. I mean, I want to get the best price possible too, but the market dictates. We don't come up with these numbers of what things will sell for. We just have to swim in the waters we're given to swim in.
And everybody got to understand this too. Different markets dictate different prices. So we might be in one market with one price, but we go down 50 miles down lower South Carolina, we're in a totally different market, and we deal with a totally different price. From Greenville to Greenwood, it's a different price. Go ahead.
If you were in the New York City marketplace or Chicago or those markets, they're experiencing tremendous pricing declines. And they start in the rental market, because the rental market is much more liquid than the market for residentials. Like if my unit is empty and I need it rented, I will cut price if I can't find a renter in a reasonable period of time, just to put a warm body in there and help me cover my costs. And so you're seeing that now. San Francisco is another city like that, where what you were paying for rent 2 years ago versus what you're paying now for the same exact apartment, 25% less, because people are moving out. They don't want to live there. They want to live low-cost states. And we've had this conversation lots. Low-cost states, a little more rural, still close enough to the amenities, nice family environment. I don't want to be in a box and be trapped in my box because I can't go to a restaurant. I can't go to the show. I can't go to a game because it's all locked down. Why am I living in this little box in this town or this big city if I can't take advantage of what the city has to offer? So yeah, it's location, man.
Let me ask you this, Allison. You know, I'm not big on the rent game. You big on the rent game. From a landlord mindset right now with COVID going on, and you know there's things that where the government would put or the state would put on there, so you can't throw the person out right now. What is the mindset of a landlord should have coming into this game and trying to think about renting? I mean, let's give people some advice out there on that. You rent houses, so what type of advice would you have on a new landlord, a person coming into the game saying, hey, I want to do some renting, but right now, where we at?
Well, first off, start with the downsides of being a landlord to get that out of the way. And then if you can clear that hurdle, you can go on. But I was actually downloading the paperwork to evict someone on Wednesday for non-payment of rent. And then they added in all this paperwork since the last time I had to do it 6 months ago. And it's like, well, under the CARES Act, you have to, if they get a letter from DHEC that they have COVID, you can't evict this person till the first of the year. But it throws back on that person, but you still have to make up that rent. You're not paying now, but we're keeping an account. And come January, whatever months of rent you didn't pay last year, you have a summary, you have a sum total that is owed right there at that point in time. Those folks won't be able to do that. You're going to have a lot of people leaving the rental market because of job loss or whatever. At the same time, because the prices of the houses, residential, like I rent single family residential, the prices of the houses are going up such that I've gone back to a lot of my tenants this year and given them 10% price increases. In years past, it's been 2 or 3%. And like, what are you doing? It's like, look, if you want to go out there and buy a house, go buy a house. If you want to go get an apartment complex, go get an apartment complex. But you go to an apartment complex for 750 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath type of deal. It's $1,100 if you're not going to be in a very bad part of town. That's just where we are. Right. Everybody's moving in. So if you're in an area where you've already got rental houses and people are moving in, you can charge top dollar because there's no alternatives for these folks. So
is it a certain way you screening these people that coming in out of newer people?
Newer people do
this COVID thing. Yeah, newer tenants that coming in is the same way.
I don't have any new tenants. Most of my tenants have been 5-year, 6-year, 7-year tenants in their properties. Once they're in. But I have been working with them, and actually, John, full disclosure, has been working with several of my tenants to repair their credit to get them to the point of buying their properties. And some people have made dramatic jumps in their credit score to get them to be in a position to buy. But we are at a point where these houses were bought in the late 90s, most of them, and so they got the age on them where they're going to need some work, and but they're in good condition. But I'm just like almost done with the mortgage. Let's get out of them. It's time to move on to other things. I don't want to fix stuff all the time. That's the other problem I have as a landlord. They're vendors. To find an electrician, to find a plumber, to find a carpenter, to replace the carpet when it's time, or to paint. Those kind of things are getting so much more difficult to do because who are the guys who are in their 20s and 30s that do this work anymore? All my guys are older than me, and I'm 52. And I'm like, how many more years are y'all doing this? Like 2 or 3 more, and I'm out. And so I'm looking ahead. If you're going to be a landlord, you're going to need to learn how to do some things. You're going to need to be good on carpentry, good on maybe doing some electrical or some basic plumbing. You're almost going to have to be self-sufficient to make it work.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good to let people know that you got to almost be self-sufficient to become a landlord. Because I got cousins and dads and stuff that build houses, and you can't bring those people into doing little small repairs like that because they're going to blow you out the wet with the money. It's going to charge us just the paint. They're going to be getting you for high prices and what they were paying the new construction for. So, you're right. I mean, that make a lot of sense, and that's helping. I hope hope you guys get something out of that. Trying to get him to become an investor and get into this landlord thing. Now, as I flip this around, I think it's best and I've been pushing this all my life, and you know I have, is to get people to try to own or finance the house, or try to finance the house to the person. That way they take on all that responsibility and you act as the bank. What do you think about that going forward as a plan that
That's
we
a good
can
idea.
Implement?
That's a good idea too, but that has some differences based upon your geography. Like, what are the laws of your state?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if someone doesn't make their payments, are you foreclosing them or are you evicting them? Because those are two very different legal processes. And the foreclosure is much more expensive for you as the homeowner to do. If it's a matter of evicting them, then yeah, that makes it a lot easier. A lot easier.
Okay.
But check your local rules and regs to know whether or not that's something you can do. But if you could buy into properties cheap, you know, this may not sound like something you maybe want to do, but like mobile homes where you can buy them cheap and you put folks in them and they're not high maintenance and they actually make, you know, close to regular normal rents. I mean, they're so cheap to get into. If you can get into properties inexpensively that are not in need of a lot of repairs, those could make great little rentals, you know. And I tell you, a lot of people
I'm finding out just riding through some of the older areas. Like, you may take some older communities back in the day, like my grandparents lived in. You got houses in those areas you can get in there for $10,000 to $15,000. You're gonna have to buy those houses for that price because the kids are not moving back into those neighborhoods. They done moved out, and you can get those houses at that price. I'm finding that out. The key is what I've had to learn how to do is do a lot of the work, like you just said, and you know, and make sure you repair the house back. You know, it may take a little bit longer to repair the house because you're doing the work. You can't bring in that full construction crew like you used to because you can't pay for it. It don't max out because the house only in South Carolina, the house only worth, you know, somewhere right around $60,000, $70,000, or right around $75,000, but you get it for 10, and you got to put money into it. You can't put 30 and 40 into the house. You're not gonna make no money. But I'm looking at that a little bit more of going into these neighborhoods, these older communities, Alex. And I'm thinking around the country, you have those older communities, like my grandparents and stuff lived in, that you can go in and get their house at $10,000 to $15,000 and then turn around and own and finance them back out, or finance them back out to other people, you know, and let the people have them that way.
They say demographics is destiny, and that means that patterns of who's having children and where they're choosing to live, where they're choosing to work, that sets the pattern that's going to tell you what your future is. And we have all these mass retirements of baby boomers. You know, full disclosure, last Sunday, I, had my father's memorial service. He passed away. And that's why we didn't have our show on Saturday. Today I came back from a funeral before doing the show. And my cousin died earlier today. People pass on. And there is a big chunk of our population that is older, that is, if they haven't passed on, they're moving out of those houses. And they need buyers, but there's not as many young people financially able to buy that the boomers who have left this house behind have given them. I bought this house in the 70s, and it's a brick home, and I've been here all my life, but Junior can't come in and buy it because he took out a $50,000 student loan, and he's got that additional student loan payment he's got to make, and he won't bank qualify.
Or car payment.
Payment, right? Because cars.
Car payment.
A decent new car is $30,000 or plus. So you have a high monthly payment on that. So they are not qualified to be purchasers. They're going to be tenants, but they're young professionals, many of them, and they're great people, but they're so burdened in debt. Renting is all the option they got. And those older houses, a lot of times are brick. Those brick older houses, they're pretty solid. They just need some modernization on the inside. But they built them. Right. They built them strong back in the day, and
they built them better.
They did build it better because they used higher quality materials, and brick. Man, that brick, it lasts a lot longer than a vinyl home with some OSB up under it is going to last. Okay, and you just got to go in and read it.
Even the floors are plywood. Yeah.
Right. A lot of people, you pull up that carpet, there's nice hardwood floor they carpeted over back in the day.
Yes.
It's like, what? Hardwood.
My grandparents' house, I did that. I did that at my grandparents' house, and grandma. I never understood this, and it hit me. Grandma had paneling in the house, and she had carpet on the floor. I took the paneling off. It was sheetrock. I took the carpet up. It was hardwood floors. I'm like, man, are we just getting back to those days, or what happened? I mean, not everybody got hardwood floors, and I got real hardwood floors in my grandmother's house. And I was just looking at that house, and I'm like, what is going on? Why would people cover up hardwood floors with carpet? I never understood why she did that. But then cover up sheetrock with paneling.
Back in the 70s, Harvest Gold was the big color to put in all your houses.
Okay.
That stuff's atrocious.
Okay.
That yellowish gold color was everywhere. And this avocado greens and all that kind of stuff. And that just was like, I guess you thought that was a good idea, but I mean, kind of Brady Bunch looking type houses. But yeah, there's a lot of solid.
But if you go back to it, Alex, the solid houses, there are solid houses in those older communities. If you go in there and you get them at good price.
And
that's another thing.
Yard. You don't get this little, quarter acre house for the 2,000 square foot house on a quarter acre. It's like, that's not much maneuvering room. These things are half acre lots and whatnot. They're nice. What do you think about the mindset of the young professionals that's coming out and going back and buying those houses or buying these new houses, like you say, with no yard? They going up, they ain't going wide, so the houses are going upstairs, and eventually you're gonna get tired of those steps. Yes, you
get. But what do you think? What you think about that? What do you think about that?
Well, you can only buy.
How can we change that?
Well, again, you can only buy what you can afford, and the low rates give you the opportunity to buy. But the problem is that if you're paying higher and higher prices for the house, rates don't help you in the remodel, because you got to go out to Lowe's today and put down cash money to buy the OSB and the sheetrock and whatnot. So if you're going to buy this house with the concept of fixing it up, you again have to get in low price on the front end to be able to afford these higher expenses, or be willing to go in and buy it and live in it like it is, and wait 6 months or a year until the prices moderate, and then you can go and do your remodel at that time. So, just like everything else, high prices cause lower usage. That's what's going to happen here. And you're already seeing it. You're seeing a slowdown.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We have a little sound thing.
And and I want to say this too. I know I got a listener listening, and I'm not talking about you. She's gonna be on the call hopefully next week and week after next. I told her to call in today. I think she did an excellent job at getting a house. She got a rate lower than 3% fixed for 30-year fixed for the next 30 years. She got a good house. She's gonna do a little work to it, but I don't want her thinking, oh, well, he talking about me, Miss Jackson. They're not talking about you. But we're gonna get on the call, Alex, probably next week. She's gonna come on. She's gonna tell us. She's been listening. She's been listening to us. She will listen to me and Van and Gerard. And actually, she did a lot of good things with going to get her house. Going to the local bank for number one, dealing with a local bank that she banked with, and I always push that with people. And she went to the local bank, and they gave her less than a 3% rate going conventional. So all the advantages with that. She banked with them. They banked with them for years, and then all of a sudden, they give her the mortgage. They were happy to do the mortgage. So, I'm gonna have her on within the next week to talk about her experience with me and her talking back and forth, and she got a house, and she's gonna close on her house, and it's gonna be a real nice house, and she got the perfect rate. I mean, he was telling me the other day that somebody had told her, well, make sure that's not a variable, but now she actually got a less than a 3% rate. I don't want to tell you what the rate is. I'll let her tell you what it's on, but it's some good points. It's a good rate. Less than 3% for 30 years. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned something really really good there, is that she had that relationship with the bank. She worked with her bank for several years, then went in and asked about getting a loan on the house. You can't just walk into a little bank and just coming off the street and say, yeah, give me a loan. And we're like, okay, well, we don't know anything about you. And we don't know about your payment history. It is harder to do. So just deciding today you want to get into real estate and then expect you're going to be closed by next week is an unrealistic expectation. B, building that foundation of a good local banking relationship, shopping around, waiting for a good deal, even if it's not the perfect house, but it's a great deal. Be open to jumping on that thing, make it your primary residence for 2 years. After you do your remodel, when you sell that sucker, you can take 100% of that profit and put it in your pocket tax-free if you want to. And then you go get your ideal dream house.
Okay, what do you call a good deal in that situation? Let's talk about that. What is a good deal in that situation you just brought up? When you say get a good deal, real estate,
a good deal
on
starts
the retail
with
market. What's a good deal?
Well, every good deal has one thing in common, and that's the motivated seller.
Right.
People that are not motivated sellers are not where you're going to find your good deals. I've never had that experience where I got a good deal from someone who's indifferent or thinks they're in the driver's seat in terms of negotiating this deal. So you start with someone who has got to sell, and they have got some hair on the property. And hair is a real estate terms for meaning something about this deal makes it complicated in one way or another, or maybe multiple ways, that, it's got outdated look to it. It's maybe got a crack in the foundation. The homeowner has got to sell quickly and turn this thing into cash. These are examples. Those are where the good deals are typically found. And you got to listen what that homeowner wants. And I find a lot of times dealing with realtors in the middle, they can be helpful, but most of the times they're not, because they want a transaction quick. They're not trying to get you $2,000 off the house. They want volume. So a lot of times when you're talking to a for sale by owner as you as a buyer, I find that to be the case, because there's nobody in between you, and you can listen and you can see what they need the most and say, I will give you that, but it's going to come at my terms. My terms are going to be the reason you get what you're looking for. Either I'll give you that quick close, but you got to give me a great price. I'll give you that. Maybe people don't want to take all the cash now for tax reasons, but they'd love to set you up on owner financing, so they'll have an annuity for the next several years. And you don't even have to go through a bank.
Right.
Think about those situations. Listen and be creative in the way you solve the problems and get the deals done. That's and to teach exactly how you get that done. There's so many different ways a deal could play out. You can't give everybody every single possible scenario that could pop up. Just listen and problem solve. And you can turn that to your advantage because you're giving them value. Maybe they want a quick close. Maybe they want owner financing. Every buyer can't give them that. If you can, you should get compensated for that in terms of you got a better deal on that house.
And Alex, you said so much right there. I'll be honest with you. You said so much. I mean, you went all over. And for a normal buyer or for someone buying or a new investor, and I say this, I'm gonna push something real quick. Get a mentor. Get somebody like us who can help you, who've been in the game, who can walk you through this to help you get a good deal. We're here for that reason. Being in the game that long. Because what Alex just said was so much. It's so many different variables in what he just said, but it all makes sense to me because I've been in the game. But you looking at it, you like, well, how do I get a quick deal? How do I get a good deal? Why do I not need a realtor? Do I need a realtor? See, all those what he said, you running through your head right now. But get with us and we can help you, determine that, and we'll walk you through that to helping you get a good deal.
John's got his number up on the screen here. I've got my email here as well. Give us a call. And if you've got a property that you really need to get sold, or so, we're not practicing realtors, we are investors. But there could be something there. If you need a house, if you need to sell a house, we're not too concerned about your location. I've done deals in Portland, Oregon, Isle of Palm, South Carolina, Virginia Beach, Virginia, Miami-Dade, Florida, and I've never seen them. Never seen the house. Because I have a computer. You have a computer. It's internet, it's emails, it's DocuSign. That's all you really need. You do need local contractors to work on your house. But in terms of facilitating a deal structure, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
You just need a brain.
That's right.
And you need to be patient and be willing to walk away from a deal if it doesn't come to your terms. Because deals are like, airplanes. There's, stay at the airport long enough, there's another flight going to your destination. It'll be another one.
Right.
You missed your flight to LA. That's okay. There's another one coming up in 2 hours. Don't get that go fever on a deal. That's what messes deals up too. And that's why salespeople are always trying to get you to do it now, because they want to close. It's not necessarily in your best interest to do now.
I know the way I think about realtors. I know where I'm at on the realtor, Alex. Your perspective of using a realtor and not using a realtor to buy a house. What do you say on that? And I don't want to get in no trouble with those realtors, but I just know, I just like to hear from another person.
A great realtor is invaluable because they know what you need and they're willing to be patient, and they're typically not the kind of person that has got to get another closing because they got some bills to pay. That's a short-term thinking mindset realtor. I like the realtors that are doing fantastic. I don't have to have this deal done today. And if you're going to keep buying things from me, I don't want to make you mad that I did you wrong on the first deal we ever did together. So they're constantly looking out for your best interests and helping you find what you need. Because the more they do that, the more money they make. It's not short term, it's long term.
But can your best interest also be in price, in that realtor negotiating that price down to the right price for you sometimes? In some cases there's a medium. You got to get that balance right there.
There's got to be that balance right there but there are realtors that will negotiate like that on your behalf, and they'll work with the other realtor. They know, like, let's say your realtor is the buyer agent and they know that listing agent, and they're like, look, man, this is what we need to do, or ma'am, that we have to get this deal structured. You know what the deal with the house is. Go back and talk to your seller. Let's make this work out. We can do it. This is a great buyer. Let's get this deal done. And they will do that. But just like everything else in your life, you've known good dentists and dentists who aren't so good. You know good mechanics and the ones that aren't so good. You have to just deal in the top 20% of people, because 20% of the realtors are doing 80% of the transactions. It's that old 80-20 Pareto principle. The best people make all the money because they just suck up all the business because they're so good. If you're going to pay the same commission one way or the other, why not work with the best person out there if it doesn't cost any extra? And that's kind of the same thing here. You have to kiss your frogs until you find your prince a lot of times, but you can also get them through referral. But you need to be good to them too. You don't need to be jerking them around and not getting deals done, but then taking up their time, because that'll lose you a deal real quick, and you'll never get that person back. They have that one chance to make a first impression. You take a good vendor and you don't pay him on time, you may never get that vendor to come back. So same thing here with realtors.
In your past, and the houses that you have bought in the past, what is your percentage of buying with realtors and without realtors?
It's about 50-50, because sometimes I'm dealing with wholesalers which serve a realtor kind of function, but they're not realtors per se. They're direct. They're signing their contract to you from the contract they've made with the homeowner. But also realtors will call you up and say, hey man, this listing just came out in the MLS. This is a real good deal. If we move on this, you can get it done. And I've done deals that way. Because not every deal is, a lot of deals just, everybody goes to the MLS. Most transactions in real estate go to the MLS. So for a hot deal to come along, you need to know that realtor, because sometimes they'll let you know about it when they've got the listing, but before it's gone to MLS, called a pocket listing. That's when I found really good deals. Where I get MLS before the whole world sees it. Do you want to see it?
I just have one that call me all the time, and after they do the BPOs and stuff, he'll call me. You might want to go by and just take a look at this and ride by it because I give you some time and you end up getting that house before it even go to that market like that. So yeah, I mean I understand that, and that's part of the relationship building, and that's part of learning the game. That's part of getting with people like us who know the game, so we can help you with the game. So yeah, I understand that most definitely. I guess I'm right around 20% with the realtors. About 80% on estate deals and finding deals through the internet and finding drive-by deals and stuff like that. I'm more like 20%, maybe 15, 20% with a realtor actually sending me a deal. I don't have that many realtors that I deal with that send me deals. And with the new software that's out now, I mean, you can look up the MLS online and everything, so everything is there.
That's true.
And I don't know, and on that's something with the realtors to be. Because I have a lot of people come to me and they say, John, I want to do what you do. Do I need my real estate license? What do you think about that? When people come to me and say, do I need a real estate license?
No, you don't need a real estate license.
Do what we do.
You need a desire to stick with it, because that's where I find a lot of people don't stick with it or don't put the effort into it, or like everything else in life, people come and go. If you're going to be good at this, you have to keep doing it for the long haul. Would it be beneficial to be a realtor? I mean, if you don't have another job and you want to do real estate full time, it will help you supplement the income. It will take time to ramp. You don't get a paycheck 2 weeks after you start working as a realtor. So you have to anticipate, the time from listing to closing could be like 6 months from now. But once that pipeline gets going, yeah, it's great. And you could use the realtor option to sell your own stuff and make it less expensive to do that. So I do know a lot of realtors that are also investors, and they make a decent living that way. Some of them do make a great living that way. But it's not a prerequisite to getting it done. It's just a path. So there you go.
All right there. Well, Alex, I know we wrapping it up, and I hope we can get that customer on one day. I hope Miss Jackson come on next week. She wanted to come on today, but she said something about her hair wasn't done. So
well, that's okay. And by the way, anybody else who watches the show and you got an idea for something you want to talk about and you want to be on with us, you could most certainly be brought in the call either via video, or we could do it with just audio only if you like to do it that way.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we could do an audio only if you want to. If you're driving your car, you don't want to be trying to look at the screen and be distracted. I can bring in just the audio only, so we can like a call in type of deal. But yeah, we can do that. No problem.
She's gonna be mad at me then. She's gonna be mad at me then because she asked me, "Can I just do audio?" I said, "No, we got to do video. We got to see your face."
We were always able to do just audio. That's only a recent thing. We use a service called StreamYard to do our streaming, and they're constantly improving it. And that's something they just did as an improvement here in the last 2 years.
Okay.
So yeah, it wasn't possible before, but now it is. And we could bring on 10 people on video at the same time if we want to, although our faces will be small because it's still the same size screen.
Okay.
But yeah, that's not a problem to do. And if you want to send John a message or me a message for a question you want to ask, either text John, email me, that we could use in a future call or future, live stream. We can certainly do that. Because we want to talk about what's going on in your local market too. If you have a deal you would like to present to our audience, you could do that as well. Because we have people live stream, but most of our people don't watch the live stream live. They watch it replayed later. So it really picks up as the week goes on as how many people watch the show. So yeah, give us your comment. Give us your, hey, I want to know about this or that, or I'm trying to sell a house in Florence right now and I just want it gone quick. Let us know. Whatever it is.
Yeah, get with us.
We'll see if we can help you out.
We have a network of investors. We actually have a network of people that buy houses all the time. So you guys get with us, and then we probably can make that deal happen for you guys.
Exactly.
So get with us on any house you might have.
As well, but that credit isn't exactly where it needs to be, then you definitely need to be talking to John. I mean, because like I said, I've been amazed that you put 40 points on one of my tenants' credit scores in a 30-day period of time. And he had no, I had
get him into
years with that person. So that was a great thing. So it's, if whatever your need is. If we can't meet it, we know the folks that do, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah, and I will be in Columbia Monday with a new client that you sent me. So I will be in Columbia Monday. We talk. We're gonna meet Monday.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll meet Monday.
Everybody, do remember? Just want to let you know, and don't forget to vote come Tuesday. This is our last show before the election. Either vote early or on Monday, or because a lot of polling places are open already. If you want to go the day before, but definitely get out there and do that on Tuesday. Don't forget your local, city, county stuff too. That's just as important as electing your president, your congressman, your senator. Vote for those local people because you have a more impact. Your vote has more impact on them than anything else because it's so many fewer votes. Just a few votes can tilt those things very easily. So do that, and we'll be back at you at our regular time next Saturday, 10 a.m. For our show. Again, we will
have a president next Saturday. We come back, right?
Our president. I don't know how long
it's gonna be the same one or gonna be a new one.
That's right. It's either be the same one or a new one. Either way, there'll be a president.
Either way, there'll be a president.
Right.
All right.
We all stay safe out
guys,
there. See you next week.
Subscribe to our channel. Hopefully we give y'all some good information. Y'all subscribe. Yeah. Give us a call. Let us know.
That sounds good. All right. We'll see y'all next week. All right, John.
Thank you,
see you later.
All right.